Fifth grade lesson 3.3 is compare and order decimals. This is really similar to when you compared and ordered decimals when you were working through the tenths place and hundredths place. Real similar concept. This should go pretty fast. Our essential question is, how can you use place value to compare and order decimals? Let's unlock the problem. The table lists some of the mountains in the United States that are over 2 miles high. How does the height of Cloud Peak in Wyoming compare to the height of Boundary Peak in Nevada? Let's highlight what we're comparing. We're comparing Cloud Peak in Wyoming, and I'm going to highlight it here as well, to Boundary Peak in Nevada. Boundary Peak in Nevada. Those are the two numbers I'm focusing in on. One way we can do this is simply use their place value. Start with the larger number, the larger place value, and then work your way down until you find a difference in them. So we line up the decimal points, line up all the place values and decimal points. Starting at the left, compare the digits in each place because you start with the greater value. So if I have 2.495 or 2 and 495 thousandths compared to 2 and 488 thousandths, I line everything up nice and close. I start with the largest place value, which means whichever's furthest this direction. And here it's the ones place is 2 and 2. Both of them have an equal amount. So if that largest value is the same amount, I go to the next place. And in the tenths place, they both have the same number, same value. So, okay, then they're still equal at this point. So now I will go to the hundredths place. This one has a 9, this one has an 8. This one has 9 pennies, this one has 8 pennies. This one is a little bit more. That's what they're doing all along here. 2 is the same as 2, so go on over. 4 is the same as 4, so move on over. Oh, that you can't see that. So move on over to the next place. 9 is greater than 8. And so if that's the case, then Cloud Peak, Wyoming is greater than the height of Boundary Peak. And that's it. So you just, like you did before, you started the largest value and move over. Another way you can, if you have a place value chart drawn somewhere, you can use that if you find that helpful. You'll get used to just being able to line them up like that and do it. But if it helps you to have them on the place value chart, we compare the ones place. 2 is equal to 2. There's the decimal nice and lined up. Compare the tenths place. 4 is equal to 4 tenths is equal to 4 tenths. Compare the hundredths place. 9 hundredths is the same as 9 hundredths. By the way, we're comparing now. I just noticed there's a difference in these numbers. Wheeler Park, Cloud Peak and Wheeler Park. That's where they got these 2 and 495 thousandths and 2 and 493 thousandths. So we compared the ones place, we compared the tenths place, we're comparing the hundredths place. 9 hundredths is equal to 9 hundredths. So move on. If they're still equal, then you just keep moving on down. Thousandths place, 5 is greater than 3. 5 thousandths is greater than 3 thousandths. Since 5 thousandths is greater than 3 thousandths, then 2 and 495 thousandths is a little bit greater than 2 and 493 thousandths. Barely. I mean, the tiniest bit, right? And 2 and 493 thousandths is less than, just the reverse, 2 and 495 thousandths. So which is the bigger amount? Cloud Peak is a little bit larger or higher, greater than, I don't know what word they want there, higher than the height of Wheeler Park. So start at one side, start at the greater value side, and if they're equal, keep moving on down the line until you find some that aren't. We can use place value to order decimal numbers. For example, Mount Whitney in California is 2 and 745 thousandths miles high. Mount Rainier in Washington is 2 and 729 thousandths miles high. And Mount Harvard in Colorado is 2 and 731 thousandths of miles high. Order the heights of these mountains from least to greatest. Which mountain has the least height? Which mountain has the greatest height? All right, let's highlight these numbers here just to make them easier to see. Mount Whitney in California, Rainier in Washington, and Mount Harvard in Colorado. That makes that easier to see. Oh, and then they went ahead and lined them up. That would be my first suggestion. Okay, line them, all the numbers up with their place values lined up, their decimals lined up, nice and neat. Use grid paper if that helps to make sure things line up nice and neat. So we line up the decimal points and the place values. There's the same number of ones. So I'll move on to the tenths place, and 7, 7, and 7 are the same. So I'll move over to the hundredths place, and I have 4, 2, and 3. Well, 2 is the smaller, so Rainier is smallest. And then between the other two, 4 is the largest compared to the 4 hundredths and the 3 hundredths. So this is the largest. So they say, underline the hundredths place and compare, and we did that over here. So which is the smallest? Rainier was. So we're going to put, they just want the hundredths place. So here we go. Rainier was a 2, and then Harvard was the 3, and then Whitney was the 4. Ooh, that's a terrible color for that. There we go, that's better. And so from least to greatest, 2 and 729 thousandths for Rainier. Then the middle one is 2 and 731 thousandths for Harvard. And then finally the largest, 2 and 745 thousandths for Mount Whitney. So the least height is Rainier, and the most height is Whitney. We can use the place value chart if we find that useful. The order of 1 and 383 thousandths compared to 1 and 321 thousandths, compared to 1 and 456 thousandths, compared to 1 and 32 hundredths. So let's go ahead and use the place value chart. They've already put 1 and 383 thousandths on there. We will write 1 and 321 thousandths, then 1 and, so those two are done, 1 and 456 thousandths, and 1 and 32 hundredths. It does not go all the way to this end. I can put a 0 there if that makes you feel better, so that it goes to the thousandths place. The greatest number is what? Well, we have the ones place, which is all equal. So if they're all equal, move to the next place value. We have 3 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, and 3 tenths. Well, that means 4 tenths is higher. So this 1 and 456 thousandths is the largest of them all. Now we'll go ahead and move. Now we've got to compare the 3 other ones. They're all equal here, so move down to the hundredths place. There's 8 hundredths, 2 hundredths, and 2 hundredths. 8 hundredths is the next amount. 8 is greater than 2, so the next greatest number is this one here, 1 and 383 thousandths. Then compare any remaining thousandths. We have these hundredths, let's go on to the thousandths. We have 1 and nothing, or 0. So this is the next larger one, 1 and 321 thousandths. So the order's number from greatest to least was 1 and 456 thousandths as the largest, then 1 and 383 thousandths as the second largest, 1 and 321 thousandths as the third largest, and we could call this 1 and 320 thousandths or 1 and 32 hundredths. Either way is correct. That is ordered from greatest to least now. Okay, this is the share and show. You can pause and try it anytime you feel like you're ready to. We'll use the place value chart to compare the two numbers. What's the greatest place value position where the digits differ? Always starting in the greatest place value. In this case, it's the ones, and they're both 3 ones, so we move on over. Moving on down. Tenths place is also the same, so move on down. Hundredths place is different, and this 7 hundredths is more than 4 hundredths. So the first place value, the greatest place value where the positions differ, is in the hundredths place. That's all they want there. But we can circle which is the larger number now. It's this one, because that first number where that first place value where they're different, this top one has the larger value. Let us compare these numbers here. 4 and 563 thousandths compared to 4 and 536 thousandths. If it is helpful, and it will be for a little while. After a while, you won't need to line them up. Maybe not yet, and maybe even now you won't need to, but in case you do, just line them up. These are the same. The ones place is the same. There's 5/10 on both of them. 600ths here and 300ths here. So this one is the larger number. This guy right here. Done. Oops, let's do that. Done. Let's compare these. We have 5 and 640 thousandths and 5 and 64 hundredths. So let's line those up. 5 and 640 thousandths. And you might have seen this right away, but if you didn't, that's okay. When you line them up, you probably will. And if you compare 5 and 5 ones, yeah, 6 and 6/10ths, okay, 4 hundredths, 4 hundredths, they're equal so far. And when they don't match up here, you can put a 0 on the end to make them match up, and that's the same. So this one is equal. These are the same values. This is $5, $5, 64 cents, 64 cents with no whatever random coin a thousandth would be that doesn't exist. We have 8 and 673 thousandths and 8 and 637 thousandths. Again, you might be noticing now without having to line them up, but just in case you aren't, we'll line them up so that you can see the process. Compare your ones place, they are equal. Compare your tenths place, they're equal. Compare your hundredths place. 7 hundredths is more than 3 hundredths, so this whole number is the larger one. That's this one here, so that's greater. They want to name the greatest place value position where the digits differ. They want us to name the greater number. Which of these is larger? So if needed, line them up. 3 and 579 thousandths compared to 3 and 564 thousandths. Compare my ones place. 3 ones, the same. Move on down. 5/10ths and 5/10ths, the same. 7 hundredths compared to 6 hundredths. This one's more. So this is the larger number, 3 and 579 thousandths. I guess I could use these lines here to line these up. 9 and 572 thousandths compared to 9 and 637 thousandths. Compare my ones, they're equal, 9 ones, 9 ones. Compare my tenths, 6/10ths is more than 5/10ths, so this is the larger value. And we have 4 and 159 thousandths compared to 4 and 152 thousandths. Compare your ones place, they're equal. Compare your tenths place, they are equal. Compare your hundredths place, they are equal. Compare your thousandths place, the 9 thousandths is more than 2 thousandths, so this is the larger number. I think you're getting the hang of that now. And then finally, they want us to do least to greatest on both of these. Pause and try it, and then check your answer with me. I have 4 and 8 hundredths. Then I have 4 and 3 tenths. Then I have 4 and 803 thousandths. And I have 4 and 38 thousandths. Okay, it would be helpful for me if they all kind of went to the same place value, so I'm going to push them there. We have the same amount of ones place. 0 here in the tenths place, 3, 8, and 0. So if we're going least to greatest, these are my two least right now. So I'm only looking at these two right now, this one, and comparing them to see of those two, which is the smallest. So I go to the next place value, 8 here, 8 hundredths, and over here, 3 hundredths. This is the smallest one. So I'm going to write him down, 4 and 38 thousandths, and then I'm going to cross him off. After that, this guy is going to be the smallest one because these two were smaller than these two. So I'll write him down as the next smallest, 4 and 8 tenths, or 80 thousandths. Either one, cross him off. Now let's compare what's the next smallest. We have 4 ones still, then we have 3 tenths and 8 tenths. So 3 tenths is smaller. I'm going with the 4.3, 4 and 3 tenths, or 4 and 300 thousandths. It could be said that way too. And finally, 4 and 803 thousandths. Done. Took a little more work to it, but you just sort it out and untangle the problem. Let's try one more. I think you're pretty much there though. 1 and 703 thousandths compared to 1 and 37 thousandths compared to 1 and 37 hundredths compared to 1 and 73 thousandths. I'm going to put a 0 on the end to make those all match up. I don't know, my brain likes that. We have all the same here. We're doing least to greatest. In my tenths place, I have a 7, a 0, a 3, a 0. So these two here are smaller So I'm going to focus in on those to see of those two, which is the smallest. There's equal here, so go to the next place value. I have a 300ths and a 700ths. That one's the smallest, so I will write that one first, 1 and 37 thousandths, and then I cross it off. Then the next smallest, of course, is going to be the 1 and 73 thousandths that I was comparing it to. Now the next smallest is going to be the 1 and 3. 3 in the 10th place compared to 7 in the 10th place, so 1 and 37 hundredths, and then finally 1 and 703 thousandths. I hope this all made sense to you just fine and that you're ready to tackle Think Central. Good luck.